A man is riding aimlessly through the desert on a donkey. He is not hungry or thirsty because he has a bottomless bowl of fruit. He wanders for about a week and eventually gets pretty lustful. He gets to the point where he can't stand it anymore, so he decides to try and do the business with the donkey. He drops his pants and positions himself under the donkey. But, to his dismay, the donkey walks away. Only slightly discouraged, the man decides to try again. He walks to where the donkey is standing, positions himself under the donkey, and right before he goes for it, the donkey walks away again. Now the man is getting frustrated. As he prepares for his third and final try, he sees a vision. A beautiful, hot woman appears out of nowhere. She approaches the stunned man, who, until recently, believed that he was the only person for hundreds of miles. She smiles at him and says, "I would do anything for that bowl of fruit you have." "Anything?" he says, getting fairly excited. "Yes, anything," she replies. So he says, "Will you hold the donkey?" An old preacher was nearing the end of his life. He sent a message for his banker and his lawyer, both church members, to come to his home. When they arrived, they were ushered up to his bedroom. As they entered the room, the preacher held out his hands and motioned for them to sit on each side of the bed. The preacher grasped their hands, sighed contentedly, smiled, and stared at the ceiling. For a time, no one said anything. Both the banker and lawyer were touched and flattered that the preacher would ask them to be with him during his final moments. They were also puzzled. The preacher had never given them any indication that he particularly liked either of them. They both remembered his many long, uncomfortable sermons about greed, covetousness, and avaricious behavior that made them squirm in their seats. Finally, the banker said, "Preacher, why did you ask us to come?" The old preacher mustered up his strength and then weakly said, "Jesus died between two thieves, and that's how I want to go." One day, a wife came home early and found her husband in their bed with a very attractive young woman. Naturally, she was very upset. "You are a disrespectful pig," she cried. "How dare you do this to me? I'm a faithful wife, the mother of your children. I'm leaving you." "I want a divorce right away," the husband replied. "Hang on just a minute so I can at least tell you what happened." "Go ahead," she sobbed. "But they'll be the last words you'll say to me." So the husband began, "Well, I was getting into the car to drive home, and this young lady here asked me for a lift. She looked so down and out and defenseless that I took pity on her and let her into the car. I noticed that she was very thin, not well dressed and very dirty. She told me that she hadn't eaten for 3 days. So, in my compassion, I brought her home and warmed up the enchiladas I made for you last night. The ones you wouldn't eat because you're afraid you'll put on weight. The poor thing devoured them in moments. Since she needed a good clean-up, I suggested a shower, and while she was doing that, I noticed her clothes were dirty and full of holes, so I threw them away. Then, as she needed clothes, I gave her the designer jeans that you have had for a few years, but don't wear because you say they are too tight. I also gave her the underwear that was your anniversary present, which you don't wear because I don't have good taste. I found the sexy blouse my sister gave you for Christmas that you don't wear just to annoy her. I also donated those boots you bought at the expensive boutique and don't wear because someone at work has a pair the same." The husband took a quick breath and continued, "She was so grateful for my understanding and help that as I walked her to the door, she turned to me with tears in her eyes and said, 'Do you have anything else that your wife doesn't use?'